What's up, guys? Hey, y'all. Okay, so we're looking at the third section, or really the fourth section of Unit 6, Plant Nutrition. Now, what we're talking about here is really the uses of glucose and then the uses of mineral ions that are able to be carried out once a plant makes its food. Once a plant makes that energy, which is glucose, then what is glucose used to do throughout a plant? So what you see on your screen here is that photosynthesis produces carbohydrates, so that's the glucose. But there's so many other biological molecules that have to be inside of a plant for it to sustain life and be able to be alive, and a live plant that gives us oxygen, that makes, fruit or other plants or whatever it is we're getting from this plant for our benefit, right? So these are proteins, lipids, even nucleic acids. So as plants create this glucose, they make substances for themselves. All right, so carbohydrates contain those elements of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, right? And so those elements can then be used to make lipids, because lipids are in that same category of it contains carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. But then proteins. For proteins to be made, remember, you got to think back to Unit 4 with biological molecules. Proteins contain carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. Okay, so to get and absorb nitrogen, the way that plants have to do this is absorbing it in the form of nitrate ions from the soil. Now, at the end of our textbook, we cover the nitrogen cycle, which we'll kind of go over, and you'll see how do plants get nitrogen in the form of nitrate ions, because it's kind of stinks, but there's a ton of nitrogen in our air around us. The air around us is about 72% nitrogen. But it's not in a form that plants can absorb. They have to absorb it as ions from the soil, okay? And that can be then used to produce proteins within the plant. So other chemicals that plants contain that they must have for chlorophyll to be able to be created in a plant, it contains magnesium and nitrogen. So magnesium is also another mineral ion that has to be absorbed from the soil. And this is something where if y'all think, okay, well, how is it going to get magnesium? If you've ever heard of farmers using fertilizers or any type of organic matter that can be applied to the soil to ultimately increase growth, okay? So plants obtain these elements and mineral ions actively from the soil by the root hair cells, which we covered in the specialized cell unit. And some of these are naturally occurring in inorganic substances, but some of these can also be provided by the use of fertilizers or the use of organic material that we can add to the soil to help our plants get that. Now, if we look further down here, you can see the effects of mineral deficiencies. So if we have a magnesium deficiency, we're going to see the yellowing between the veins of the leaves. And this is something I deal with my square foot gardens at home. I'm an avid gardener. Just started doing year-round gardening, which is pretty cool. I've got some great pumpkins growing right now. But ultimately, those plants need magnesium for chlorophyll. So they will start to turn yellow if the chlorophyll is not getting enough magnesium and being produced enough in the leaves. Also, if they have a nitrogen deficiency, you're going to see stunted growth and also yellowing of leaves, because nitrogen is needed to make amino acids, and amino acids help make proteins, which proteins are for growth. We should always think growth in plants when we think about proteins and nitrogen, which is in the form of nitrate ions. But a nice, healthy plant is going to look very full. It's going to look very green. It's going to look very healthy. So that's what we want to see, okay? So just make sure you kind of see the difference of plants with mineral ion deficiencies. And then here's going to be a table that you will find in your notes that I will provide for you. And then, of course, we'll check back in with our CFU. Good job, guys.